Appreciate you clicking on this video. Last night I finally got the chance to watch the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and with this movie 8 years in the making, we follow Josh Hutcherson, Mike, a security guard hired at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, who begins to discover as the nights go on some weird and quirky things going on with the animatronics, slowly uncovering the secrets behind them. And that's all pretty much without getting spoilers. So you guys, this will be a spoiler-free review. We're for sure going to be diving into spoilers once the movie is released, so stay tuned for that because there's a lot I want to get off my chest, but I can't do it without talking spoilers. But staying spoiler-free for now, I think a lot of us can remember where we were 8 years ago when this movie was announced, when FNAF was in its heyday. I myself was just graduating high school. Well, I bet a lot of y'all were in middle school or elementary school. I'm not old, you're old. But it was such a fun experience seeing the progression of the movie over the years, starting off at Warner Brothers, then it leaving Warner Brothers, and maybe them turning it into the Banana Splits movie, while Blumhouse picked it up and was just hard at work with several different scripts, other writers, a director here and there. It seemed like for a long time the movie was just never gonna happen. It was just a dream. But the weekend has finally come for the movie to be released, and it's not with all its victories. The movie's getting the crap beat out of it with critics. So with myself, when it came to FNAF, I always considered myself a casual fan. I was mainly interested with the story and just the look of the animatronics. I was taking to Chuck E. Cheese a lot as a kid, you know, shout out to us with divorced parents, am I right? So you give me a video game that's based on a place like Chuck E. Cheese where people get killed, oh, I'm gonna be so interested in that. But I never felt like I fully dipped my toes enough to where I was just like fully engulfed into the world, so I thought I maybe would have a good balance in watching this movie from a newcomer standpoint and enough to where I'd get an Easter egg and reference here and there. So walking out of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, yeah, I definitely see why if you're a fan, you're gonna love this movie. You're just gonna smile so big. Everything about it is just gonna catch your attention. But then the people who don't know anything are gonna be left scratching their heads and wondering if the trailer promised them something else. I'll get into what I mean here, but let me just start talking about the good things. For one, the production design. These practical effects put on by the Jim Henson Corporation in the puppeteering and animatronic works is just stellar. It brings this enhancement layer that you just can't help but to appreciate. It's something that just wouldn't have been able to be accomplished with CGI. Seeing them actually physically there, moving about, tweaking their eyes, moving their little ears, it was just so awesome to see. Same thing goes for the pizzeria and just trying to replicate the look from the games. Like, that's just awesome. I think sound design also made this movie go a long way, because if it were not for the sound design, these suits wouldn't feel as real. Every time a suit is moving and it's thumping its feet, you feel how heavy the suit is, you hear the little mechanical movements. It just helps them come to life a little bit more. And it wasn't just on the suits themselves, but when it came to the kills in here, because we're going to talk about these PG-13 kills, but for what they attempt to do, using shadows, the little bit of blood they're allowed, sound design, bone crunching, people screaming, went a long way. Performance-wise, I really like Josh Hutcherson in here. In fact, they did a lot of things with Mike I was not expecting. There's a big theme with Mike about guilt, obsession, and he has this theory involving dreams. All of that I found actually really fascinating with the film, and I don't even know if that's ever been part of the games. But the way the story carries out that theme of guilt and how it relates to his sister Abby, that was kind of the best handled part of the movie. When it came to the Easter egg references and fan service, oh, that is the thing that's gonna really separate people who enjoy and just don't enjoy the movie. I was someone who knew to catch a couple of things here and there, but there was one or two things I didn't know, but I was in a room with Five Nights at Freddy fans. And I know, because oh my goodness, they were a little loud. Be caution, because we got some funny FNAF fans. There was like one person got killed and they went, "Was that the Bite of 87?" And I was just like, oh god, not right now. Not in this theater. Something else was going on with the animatronics, and a guy in the back yelled out, "Together we're FNAF." I was like, oh, they're out. They're here in the wild. They escaped their caves. But even though those little like outbursts might have been slightly annoying to me as an audience member, I couldn't help but to feel the energy once a really big Easter egg or cameo appears and people clap, people cheer. You can feel how much people love this franchise, and when stuff like that happen, even if you're someone who didn't get the reference, you can't help but to go, oh, yeah. It's infectious. So you might get the best experience even as a newcomer if you watch it with a group of fans, because They'll tell you when to get hyped. But now this brings me to the things I was mixed to negative about. And again, I just want to say, don't get offended or overly protective if someone doesn't absolutely 100% love the thing you love. I remember when Dragon Ball Evolution came out in theaters, and I am the biggest Dragon Ball fan, I gaslit myself into believing I loved that movie and it was great, and everybody who's giving it bad reviews was stupid. And well, I've grown up since then, and well, hopefully some people could just be open to why other people didn't love the movie as much. So starting things off with, as a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, the story. It's convoluted. It goes all over the place, and it's no different here in the movie. They tried smushing together the storyline of the first 3 games, and they do throw a few twists and turns that aren't from the games that might catch fans off guard. For the better or worse, that is up to you. But from a fan watching this movie, you're gonna forgive a lot of those weird story points because you're used to it with the games, and you also know where it's leading to. Like when the movie announced Matthew Lillard is William Afton, you knew what that meant, you knew what that was leading to, and when you saw the trailers and saw the spring bodysuit, you had a pretty good idea of where the movie's going by the end. As a newcomer, 80% of this movie is just guy who's having nightmares trying to keep his crappy job at the pizzeria. That's the whole story until like the last 15 minutes. And it's the pacing and unraveling of the mystery in this movie that for newcomers, it's gonna feel a little boring. It's gonna be like, what is all this leading to? What's happening? Because again, if you're someone interested in watching this movie and seeing what the hype is about, the trailers are promising you killer robot animatronics, right? So when you see the movie and the robots aren't that killerish and they're more cuddly, friendly, goofy, building forts, you scratch your head and go, is this the movie I was promised? But again, as a fan, you'll forgive it because you understand the story context from the games and can fill in those holes for the movie. When it came to Matthew Lillard, the part I was most excited about with this movie, the thing I was hyped to see because it'd been so long since Matthew Lillard was cast in sort of a villainous role. And in my mind, watching him go crazy for a little bit would be like seeing Stu Macher come back. And I'm a big Scream fan. And man, when those moments happen, I am smiling ear to ear. I am so happy with those moments. It just sucks that they were only like 3-4 minutes long. Matthew Lillard is so underutilized in this movie. I would not be surprised if you told me it only took him 3 days to film all his scenes. And it's not even just that he's underutilized, but again, the way they unravel his mystery and such a vital character that he is who disappears for 80% of the film, it doesn't have that big of an impact when the third act comes. And it sucks, because when you get to the Spring Bonnie stuff in this movie, it is amazing. Seeing him in that suit running with a knife, oh, that should have been like half the movie, man. So although I was happy with the scenes we did get of Matthew Lillard, I was disappointed he wasn't utilized to his full potential. Elizabeth Leo, who plays Vanessa in here, I feel is going to be a very mixing characters even for fans of the franchise. Nothing really too wrong with her acting, but I will say the script and the dialogue she was given didn't always work. She plays a big part in this movie, and some of the stuff involved with her character I felt kind of landed flat. When it came to the PG-13 rating, I understood why they did it, and I always expected it to be PG-13, but even then, some of the material presented in here could have benefited from an R rating, could have made things a lot more fun, a lot more entertaining. I think some big moments really got limited because of it, and also the film just isn't scary. The only people that are really going to be scared by this movie are people who are less than 10 years old, but that's kind of great, because Five Nights at Freddy's I think is going to be a perfect gateway horror movie. That movie you show to a kid and say, this is horror, do you want to see the more extreme stuff? I for sure see a future where this weekend a bunch of 10, 9, 8-year-olds are going to watch this movie, love it, and then in 15 years, they're going to be the ones like me showing the Rotten Tomato score for Cat in the Hat and going, why did people love this? This movie was awesome. This is going to be their Cat in the Hat. But again, like I said, even with all the flaws and things holding it back, the fan service and the Easter egg references are going to take it a long way. They're just going to leave you walking out so happy with this movie and excited for what they might do next. And I know to fans, that's all they'll care about. They'll be like, well, it was made for us. Well, yeah, but I also like to make new fans and share the things I love with new people and have them fall in love with it. That's a great experience. Gatekeeping something for yourselves and going, it's just for us fans, will just mean the fan base will get smaller and smaller and smaller. So I do think they'll maybe learn a few things from this entry and maybe can make things more appealing for a wider audience next time. And both sides could be happy. So when it comes to the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, I'm gonna give action 2.5 stars. It's actually pretty slow going, and the animatronics take a while before they do anything, and even then they still take their time in between. Comedy in the movie, I'll actually give it 3 stars. This movie was way more of a comedy than a horror film. That little cupcake had me dying. Drama in the movie, I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars, and that extra half star is mainly for the Josh Hutcherson part of the movie, because I thought that was really interesting. But adapting the Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, it really feels like you need to be a fan with background knowledge to fill in the holes that the movie is presenting. Horror in the movie, I'm gonna give 1 star to. It just really wasn't scary aside from like a few blood showing moments. And suspense the film, I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars because the movie just doesn't play out the mystery well or build things up. I don't feel like you can be in that much of suspense, especially when they also show the animatronics being more cute and cuddly at times. Casual fans into the Five Nights at Freddy's universe, I'm gonna give this a C+. You really have to be a fan to get the full experience for this movie. Cinephiles, I'm gonna give it a C+, and critically, I'm going to give it a C-. If you were someone just wanting to watch this movie to see what the hype is, I suggest watching it on Peacock, but for my fans, it is definitely worth checking out in theaters. All the flaws and missteps it has, the fan service, Easter eggs and stuff will just make it go such a long way that it'll make you happy. Again, that's just my opinion on the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I throw it off to you guys. If you got the chance to see this movie, how did you feel about it? Be honest with yourself. Do you understand maybe why some people just didn't get into it? Anything, everything, be sure and like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.